So, as part of our module SS6 103, Professional Issues and Ethics in Applied Psychology, we had to complete a group presentation. So, in the group was myself, Dara, Shane, and Killian. We decided to take on Dilemma 5, which was an athlete comes to see you as a client of their own initiative. They weren't sent by anybody, and their coach contacts you on an unknown number and asks what's wrong with them. And why he's going there. So consent hasn't been discussed, and the client hasn't specified either whether or not they want anyone to know, or they want you to discuss their sessions with anyone. So how do you handle the situation using the ethical guidelines? So we put together our group pretty much in the first week of this semester, but due to different circumstances, we didn't really start work until the final day of the module. We set up a WhatsApp group early enough and made a few decisions that we were going to discuss, and we decided on doing Dilemma 5. So once we chose our module, we knew which areas of the ethical code and the guidelines to look at and examine. We all agreed to make notes based off the more reading sent to us by Tyke, and also the areas of the guidelines and codes that we felt were related to the dilemma itself. Group made a plan to meet on the Sunday before the presentation just to go over a few final notes and bits. But due to work constraints, I wasn't able to attend the meeting down in Limerick. But I prepared a document with the thoughts that I had on the reading, the code and the guidelines, which sections I felt were pertinent to this dilemma, along with a few discussion points and possible outcomes from the dilemma. The other members worked on the PowerPoint presentation while they were meeting on the Sunday, and we finished it off then the morning before the presentation itself. We decided which areas of the presentation we were going to cover and which member was going to take certain bits of the presentation. We ran a few practice runs before doing the real thing itself. In terms of the presentation, I enjoyed the problem solving aspect of the presentation, the dilemma itself, picking through it, finding out which areas of the dilemma were problem areas, and then going through the guidelines and the codes and picking out which bits were helpful and how to get around, not so much get around, but how to work through it and figure out the best possible way of dealing with it if such a situation was to arise with a client. It was difficult in the regard that I was too far away from the rest of the lads, and that we only really met up. The group as a whole only really met once before the presentation on the Sunday, and then we all met up for a few hours beforehand. So I kind of felt like I wasn't doing my fair share of it, but I felt a bit better when the lads said that the document I'd put together was quite useful. I felt the presentation of the information itself went very well. I felt I knew my section pretty well and was able to answer any of the questions that were put to me. I was confident in what I knew about the dilemma and the areas of the APA ethics code and the AASP guidelines. I did feel that our PowerPoint was very plain, but that largely fell at our own feet because we only put it together the night and morning before. It was very plain, and that was pointed out to us in the feedback session and was 100% taken on board. Papers and access to the ethical guidelines codes was very easy. We had no issue gathering information at all. Going through the guidelines codes took a bit of time to establish which sections were relevant and which were not. The group dynamic, I felt, worked really, really well in the discussion of the dilemma itself, picking it apart and deciding which bits were really important and crucial, and which bits were kind of you could deal with yourself. There weren't many issues with it other than just the distance and trying to get everybody just to kind of sit down and discuss it. From all the presentations this year, I felt most comfortable presenting at this one. We did several practice runs, which is probably the first time we've done that all year. Gotten more than 2 or 3 in. So it's the first presentation that I've done as well without using notes, and I felt confident enough not using them that I knew the information in and out, and that I was quite happy in my understanding of the dilemma. Overall, I was happy with the presentation and how we presented it. I would agree with the feedback we were given. The PowerPoint lacked engagement, our presentation itself lacked a bit of engagement. We did focus very much so on content rather than who we were presenting to our audience, and keeping them going along with us. In the first semester, the major improvements for me were to progress from reading from script, which I was happy that I achieved during this presentation.